Sunday morning, coming on here to make a quick video here. Jessica's at church. I decided not to go today. Slept pretty well last night. Of course, I took a couple of melatonin gummies, and those usually do give me a pretty good night's sleep, but I wake up groggy. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I've been kind of irritated in my eyes and nose. Little sound like a smoker a little bit today. But yeah, I didn't want to go to church. One of the things that I've been discussing with Jessica and with Dr. Sharp is, well, what happened was Jessica brought up, she loves her church. She just thinks it's the greatest thing since white bread. And I'm not so impressed by it. What she likes about it, I think, is just that people are nice and they seem to have their stuff together. And there's a focus actually that's unusual. There's a couple of counselors in the church that offer free therapy, so they do actually care about mental health, which is unusual. That's unusual in a church setting. And so she likes it. They're nice people. It's very soft and gentle and everything. And to me, it's girly. And I listen a little more critically, I think, than most people do. I'm not hearing the whole gospel when I go there. I'm hearing part of it, the part that everybody agrees and likes, but not the bitter part. And the truth has a bitterness to it. And when Christians try to deny that, or churches try to deny that, they become irrelevant. But I always think of how when John in the book of Revelation, there's a beautiful picture where he takes this scroll and he eats it. And it tastes so sweet in his mouth. And it says that in the Psalms, that the word of God is sweet. It's equated to honey, as a matter of fact. Honey. Just really sweet to the taste. But then he said when it got into his stomach, it made him violently ill. It was bitter in his stomach. Meaning that once this thing is actually inside of me, once this truth is working inside of me, it's being fleshed out in my real experience. That's where it feels bitter sometimes. And so churches don't talk much about that process. They tend to focus more on the sweetness, and they don't counterbalance it with the bitter part. Anyways, she brought this up with Dr. Sharp, and I had told her that I was basically going for her sake, so that she wouldn't feel alone at church, even though I didn't get much out of it. And she brought that up as a point of contention, as a point of offense. So I didn't go today. Hell with it. If it comes down to, I kind of decided years ago that if it comes down to I'm damned if I do or I don't, or I will or I won't, well then I won't and I don't. So this morning, I've noticed something that I want to talk about here regarding sexual temptation. I've noticed that in the mornings, obviously I know testosterone is higher in the mornings, whatever I have left at almost 50 years old. But I tend to be more tempted to look at pornography, or if I'm looking at my phone and I see something inappropriate on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I'm more tempted to go and look at something and masturbate. And that's actually been, in terms of what happens and habit is, I haven't had much of a sex life except with myself and digital images, and that is really tragic to me. I don't like that. I don't like pornography. I've tried to warn my sons about it. It just feels like something that's really hard to avoid. You don't even have to go looking for it. And so I just noticed that that's an issue here lately first thing in the morning, especially when I'm foggy minded and I'm trying to wipe the sleep out of my eyes. And it takes me a long time to wake up, at least an hour usually, to where I really feel functional. So I guess the solution is to finally do what I said I needed to do a long time ago, which is to not have my phone in my hand first thing in the morning or last thing at night. It just seems to color my dreams and my thinking when I'm checking Facebook or something first thing, or even the news. I've been listening to a book that was recommended to me in my, I forget where it was recommended to me, called Eve in Exile. It's written by a Christian lady, and she's talking about feminism, the feminist movement, and of course, scriptures, difficult by modern standards. And in listening to the book, I've listened to most of it with Jessica in the car. It's a short book. It must be. I got it on Audible, and it was like 4.5 hours. And I think I've got about 2 hours to go. But it's actually made me sad listening to it, because it is, what's the word? Maybe confirming a lot of the things that I've thought for years, and just have wondered, like, what's going on here, you know? One of the things that I thought while I was doing the dishes this morning is that if I was to give advice to my sons, I would tell them not to marry American women. I would tell them to go somewhere else in the world that's a little more traditional, where roles are a little bit more clear for men and women. Because it's easy, and this is just me talking, trying to work through this, I guess, talking through it. It's really easy to get a spouse. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to get a woman in your life, to get a girlfriend. It seems to be really hard to find a good wife. It's not, in terms of a wife, a woman in your life that is there to help you as equals, that has the attitude towards you. Well, the New Testament talks about it in Hebrews. It talks about the attitude of Sarah towards Abraham, even though he was a dunderhead, and he made some really poor decisions. She had this attitude of submission, and you can just go through Rebecca and what it says. It occurred to me that every human being is supposed to have an attitude of submission. It's supposed to have a heart of, okay, my life's not my own, my will's not my own. I have a will, but that has to be in submission to the will of my Lord. And that's what Sarah called Abraham. And I was just thinking about that, So the times when Abraham really failed, he did not have that attitude towards the Lord, towards God. But it says, Paul's the one who marked all that out, these places of safety, and he said, the husband's head is Christ. And I have tried throughout the years to submit myself to the Lord and have that attitude of presenting myself as a living sacrifice, presenting myself to his will for better or for worse, whatever he decides brings him glory. Having that attitude, and I think that same attitude is supposed to be in marriages, so a husband is not supposed to lord it over his wife. He's supposed to love her and serve her as, with servant leadership. But a wife is also supposed to be submissive and respect her husband, and that hasn't happened. And I don't think it happens very often anymore. And so it's made me sad, just kind of realizing, well, I've had a woman, in my life, but I don't really know what it's like to have a wife, a helper. Maybe in some ways. But then it all comes back to, for me, you know, what I said in the last video about vision and compelling vision. I need a compelling vision. I feel like I used to have that. And I should have, if I could make one change, if I could go back and make one change in my life, or tell myself, tell something to my younger self, it would be, if your wife won't support you and help you, don't do it anyway. Don't let that discouragement or that unmet expectation derail you from what God has called you to do. And whatever she does, she does. If she leaves, she leaves. If she throws a tantrum, she throws a tantrum. I wish I could say that to my younger self, because I think that I'd be in a different place in life if I had, so it's my own fault. And so now I'm at a place where I'm just asking the Lord for a renewed vision, a renewed reason to get up, something new, whatever His will is, whatever His purpose is, to make that plain to me so that I can pursue that thing regardless of what anyone else does. So, let's see, I did the dishes this morning, got a shower, I guess I could shave. I'm expecting this work week to be pretty easy. Monday and Tuesday I'll be in the office doing monthly reports, and then the rest of the week I'm going to be in a conference over somewhere near Asheville, North Carolina. And conferences are usually not too terribly exhausting. And then trying not to eat today. I fasted on, what day is this? So it would have been Friday. Then I ate yesterday, fasting again today. Doing the best I can. I need to get some weight down. One thing I've been doing, I worked out yesterday pretty hard, and I got these bariatric crutches. Here they are. They're huge and they're heavy. They're made of steel. And so this is the first time ever that I've had a procedure or something coming up where I know I'm going to need to use crutches, and I've actually had them and had time to practice with them a little bit first instead of just getting thrown into the fire, because I don't have the greatest balance. That's probably something they'll address in PT. So I'm supposed to get this surgery on the 3rd of May, and then that's a Friday, and then turn right around on that Monday and go to PT here in town. So that's cool. So I guess I'll close to wander around my cell here and seek the Lord today.